Let me ask you a question. How's your career going? Are you like one of the 87% of working Americans that can't stand their job? For reasons that are perfectly legitimate, you feel underappreciated, that your contributions don't matter to the bigger picture, that you're not compensated fairly, and that you hate seeing people far less qualified than you getting further. Or, hey, are you in the minority? Do you absolutely love what you do and you just feel so lucky to be able to go to work and have the career you have? Well, listen, if you're in the first group, don't feel bad, because as I pointed out, 87% of Americans are in that group. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but mostly it's because people don't have the tools they need to correct their situation. You'll hear, I do a lot of coaching for executives to help them get to where they want to get to in their career. And initially, I hear a lot of the same feedback. It's like, hey, I've tried to get another job, but I never got the interview. Or I got the interview and I just couldn't get through it. Or, I really want to change industries, but everybody keeps telling me that my skill set doesn't apply and that I can't do that. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, and this is the good news. All of these things can be overcome. So, my name's Angelo Lombardo, and I am currently a Fortune 500 executive. I've spent my entire career working for some of the biggest corporations in the world, names you've all heard of, Rubbermaid, BP, products that a lot of you probably have in your refrigerator at this time. And really what my goal is to share the knowledge, the insights, the direction that I've got from trusted mentors along the way so that I can help you get to where you want to get to in your career, and hopefully in far less time than it took me. And the good news is this applies no matter how old you are or how long you've been working. You see, when I started working, I had this incredibly naive notion that if I just worked really hard, that people would notice me and I would just get promoted and I would eventually get to the position I wanted with the influence I wanted and with the income I wanted. Yeah, you can imagine how that went. The other foolish notion I had was that, again, if I worked really hard, the company would see how valuable I am and they would put me on a career development path, pointing me in the direction of the skills I needed to develop, the experience I needed, and they would just kind of shuttle me through the organization. Again, you can imagine how that went. So what I want to do with you today is I want to share probably the single most important piece of advice and direction I can give when it comes to advancing your career. I can promise you that if you do this one thing, you will be able to go as far as you want and make as much money as you want. And you'll see in a moment that what I'm saying is absolutely true. So, a couple things really quick. If you know someone who can benefit from this, share it with them. Just kick the share button down below and let them know what we're talking about. The other thing is, if you like this stuff, hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss a minute of any of my YouTube videos. Even better, in addition to subscribe, you'll see a link to my website. Get on my email list. So whether I'm doing a blog, a YouTube video, a Facebook post, a hangout, whatever it is, you'll be in the know and you'll be able to get access to all the information. And, I'm interested. I'm interested in your thoughts. If you think what I'm saying is legitimate, let me know. Hey, I said this in the very first video I've ever pointed. This is a no fluff zone. So if you think what I'm saying is a bunch of BS, share that down below as well. Call me out, and that'll help me refine my content. But anyways, let's get back to the single most important piece of advice that I could ever give anybody, and that is build a network. Your network will take you anywhere you want to go. So let's go back to the things that frustrate you. These people that are far less qualified than you, that are going farther in their careers, chances are they've got a way better network. And here's the thing, however important it is, most people don't do it for two reasons. Number one, no one ever tells them starting out how important this is. It's something you got to kind of figure out on your own. The other thing is a lot of people don't like networking. Who likes going to those events, handing out cards, talking to people? Well, again, here's the good news. You will never, ever have to do that again, because you know what? That is the biggest waste of time when it comes to networking. You're out there at an organization with people that are just out for themselves. You're just exchanging business cards. But at the end of the day, what's really going to come of it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 6 really good tips on how to network effectively. And again, if you do these, you will be able to go as far, and you master them, you'll be able to go as far as you want in your career. But before you do that, there's one thing that's really, really important that you got to point out. So number one, you got to know why you're networking, because there's different types of networking. So for example, if you're in sales, you're building a network to hopefully get connection to leads that are going to help you get a sale. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about career. So number one, do you want to progress inside of your own company? So for me, for example, I work for an organization that's got 15,000 people. We do everything from marketing to sales to supply chain to e-commerce. I can do just about anything I want to do within my own organization. So I spend a lot of time building a network within my company. So number one, do you want to progress inside of your own company? There's a lot of benefit to that. For a lot of organizations, especially big ones like I work for, the IBMs, the Rubbermaids, the Exxons, etc. The longer you work there, the better your benefits are, and those accumulated pay raises and bumps you get as you get promotions definitely add up. Because if that's what you want to do, your networking is going to be focused inside your organization. Do you want to get into, okay, so that's one. So the next is, do you want to go into a different industry, something you've never worked in before? And that's the one where people are telling you maybe you don't have the skills. So you want to start networking with people in that industry and making connections in that industry, specifically organizations in that industry. Or is there a company out there that you would just rather work for? And again, same thing. You're going to focus your networking efforts on what I like to say, burrowing into that company, getting connected with some key individuals, so ultimately you can land a position there. So, all sounds great. How do we do this? Okay, first and foremost, be the one who connects other people. So this is what I like to say, and it's kind of related to the next one I'm going to talk to, which is be a helper. If somebody, so for example, let's take the example of you networking within your organization. If somebody needs help with something specifically, they're working on a project and they need some knowledge, you can be the person that connects them with the individual that can help them. Great example. Simple things. Like I'm always getting requests like, hey, Angelo, do you know who can run this report for me? Or do you know who can get me connected with pricing? Or do you know who can help me with this particular supply chain issue? Oh yeah, absolutely. You can send an email connecting them. Hey, Bob, this is Jim. He's got a problem. I think you can help him. Here's the thing. There's something called the law of reciprocity. And when you help people, two things happen. Number one, they feel obligated to help you back. And number two, they're going to want to help you. That's why when you're at an airport, somebody comes up to you and gives you a flower or a little flag or something before they ask for a donation, because they're leveraging the law of reciprocity that now you feel obligated to help them. Way back when I was in consumer marketing or brand marketing, and we used to actually send out paper surveys to get consumer feedback, we would staple a brand new crisp $2 bill to the survey form, because when somebody opens that up in their home and they see that nice $2 bill, they feel obligated to return the survey. The law of reciprocity. So be a connector. Do what you can to be the person that connects those who need help with each other. And this takes time. You're not going to automatically be a connector overnight, but build your skill set over time. So that's number one. Number two goes right along with it. Be a helper. When somebody, so much of what I see, especially in corporate America, when somebody needs help, the first thing they try to do is get that request for help off their desk as quickly as possible. So generally they do this by listing all the reasons they can't help. Oh, I don't know that individual. I don't have a phone number. Or here's a web address. Go look up the resources yourself. And that is the worst thing you can do. Do whatever you can to help others out. Offer to help them on projects. Offer to help them on initiatives. When they come to you, say, absolutely, I can help you, and jump into it. I would recommend you spend 50% of your time on stuff that is completely unrelated to what you're doing and helping others. And the network that you will build is incredible. And then when you have a project or when you want to connect with somebody, they're going to be more than happy to help you because you're the individual that helped them. So be a connector, be a helper. The other thing is stay connected. So that's number 3. Stay connected with your existing network. Chances are you touch all these different people in all these different functions. But once you move on to a new job or they move on to a new company, how good of a job do you do in staying connected with them? I'll give you a great example. I had a job many years ago in which I was in retail and I was in a buying position and it was for consumer products. So I touched beer companies, soda companies, candy companies, chip companies, peanut companies, snack goods, paper goods, all of these. I had this incredible Rolodex filled with all of these people. I made sure that over the years, I always connected, I stayed connected. And it's as simple as this. Sending somebody an article through LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a great mechanism to do this, and we'll talk more about LinkedIn in the months ahead. But sending somebody an article, hey, I saw this, I thought you might be interested. Or, hey, saw your company just made this acquisition or launched this new product, how's it going? Or you know what, here's the thing, once a week, pick up the phone. Hey, Mike, I was just thinking of you, and I thought I'd just see how you're doing, how's the family doing? And you're keeping those connections warm into other organizations so that if you need them, you can, or when the time comes when you need them, you can call on them. Same thing in your existing company. There are people I'm constantly reaching out to that I have worked with in the past. How you doing? How's the family? Hey, heard your organization had this big win. Congratulations. And now when something comes up, you're just not this name from the past that's reaching out because, oh, you need something. You've maintained the relationship with them all the time. So stay connected. The other thing, okay, so now let's get a little bit into LinkedIn and social media. Okay, so let me just recap. I'm sorry. Be a connector, be helpful, stay connected. Number 4, be visible. Your biggest problem is obscurity. Grant Cardone talks about this a lot. And regardless of what you think of Grant, because he's like a big personality, he is spot on. Obscurity is the enemy of us all. If people know you, you're in a great situation because we like to do business and help those we think we know. And so you need to blog, you need to do videos, you need to share stuff on LinkedIn, you need relevant stuff, you need to share relevant stuff on social media because that gets you out there and highlights your skills. So what do you blog about? What do you do YouTube videos about? What do you do Facebook Lives about? What kind of stuff do you share through LinkedIn and through Facebook? Stuff that's relevant to the skills you want to highlight. So if you want people out there to see you as the top accountant or the top marketer or the top salespeople, you're out there writing articles on the top 5 ways to close a sale or top 3 things to drive engagement through social media, or you're sharing articles that do that. I recommend you go to something called LinkedIn Pulse. Use Pulse LinkedIn, LinkedIn Pulse. It's an app. You can download all these interests and it'll push you articles every day through LinkedIn. And it's so easy just to hit share. And I got an even better technique that I'm going to share with you in a few weeks. But the thing is, you start getting known out there in the greater business community for the skills that you have, and you attract attention. you attract recruiters, you attract other people who may be interested in you. All right, number 5, take the social out of social media. So again, this is related to what we just talked about. LinkedIn. Go into LinkedIn, find people in industries, companies, even your own company if it is, that are in those areas you want to get into, and just connect with them. And you send them a note as simple as like, hey, Bob, saw that you work for so-and-so, looks like a great organization. I would love to make my network available to you to help in whatever way I can. Notice, I'd love to make my network available to you. You're offering to help them. And then after you connect with them and you're sharing stuff and you're posting things, maybe sometimes you send something specifically to them. Say someone's in Starbucks. Hey, saw you just launched this new product. Really interesting. I chatted this article. I thought you might I thought you might enjoy it. Take care. And then once you kind of, you feel like they know who you are, send them a message. Hey, I'd love to find out more about what it's like working at your company, what the culture's like. Would you mind spending 20 minutes with me on the phone? Okay, I know what you're all thinking. There is no way that anybody would ever do that. Let me tell you, I have done this countless times, and only 3 times have my messages never been returned. People love talking about what they do. They love sharing things. And as long as you're not coming on too heavy, like you want a job, they'd be more than happy to share things with you. And that's the key. You do this before you want or need a job. Otherwise, it's completely the opposite. It's like taking someone on a first date and asking them to get married. It's like, whoa, So this is how you start burrowing in to those companies. And number 3 is kind of related to this, connect the dots. What I recommend you do, get an Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet or whatever. List all the companies or industries you want to get into. List all the connections you have now that are somehow related to somebody who might be in that industry. So you might know someone who knows someone who knows someone. Again, LinkedIn is great for this, especially if they are really close connections to you. And then start connecting the dots saying, okay, who are the people that can get me to the people who can allow me to talk to the people that are going to get me into, if it's in your own organization, the departments, if it's in another industry, get into an industry trade group or something like that. That's going to help you make the connections that is eventually going to help you get into or get to wherever you want to get to. Does that make sense? Again, this is all solid. Again, I'll give you a great example. I'm investigating a position in my own company. So I called a friend of mine and said, hey, Steve, do you know Doug? Have you ever worked with him? What's he like? Would you be willing to set up a conversation with me so I can find out more about his organization? Bing, connect the dots. 1, 2. And of course, he was more than willing to do it, had a great conversation, and it positions me now for when something comes up. Now I'm going to keep that lead warm, just like we talked about. Articles, other types of things. Hey, how you doing? So that when a position comes up in his organization that I think I'm qualified for, he's going to be willing to give my resume a look and potentially an interview. And that's how this whole thing works. Okay, final and bonus advice. Volunteer. Volunteer. Join Rotary Club, join Kiwanis, join Lions, join industry trade organizations for industries you want to get into. Sales, marketing. These things are always looking for volunteers to help. And it puts you ground zero of all the people that are in that specific trade group, industry group, whatever it is. It is probably one of the most powerful things you can do to getting connected into where you want to go. So, here's the thing. A lot of work. Yes, but it is worth it because I go back to what I said before, and hopefully you see this now. If you have a strong, reliable network, you can go anywhere in your career. You can get as high as you want to get to, and you can make as much money as you want to get to. But most importantly, you're going to be happy in what you do. And this is a philosophy I call playing offense. Not just taking what you're giving, but going out there and creating the situation that's going to allow you to have the career, the life, anything that you want. So I hope, again, hey, tell me what you think of this. Do you think this is legit? Is it helpful advice? Is there something specific you want me to talk about? Leave the comments down below. Subscribe to this channel. But most importantly, take control of your career. Always play offense. God bless, prosper, and I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.